So we're going to talk about something a little different today. I was thinking it might be nice for you guys to get a little head start on dental school by going over the numbering system. So it's something that you're going to use a lot and something you need to be really familiar with. So you can start working on it now, and this might help you too when you're shadowing dentists. They'll help you know more what's going on or what they're talking about when they start throwing out different numbers for teeth. So we're going to go over the three numbering systems and just kind of how they work and help get you guys more familiar with that, because again, something you're going to use a lot in dental school and that you're going to need to be really familiar with. So we're going to start with the universal system and probably spend most of our time on that because I think that's what most of you would use. That's what's used in America. So it's going to kind of be the focus. Then we'll go to international, and then we'll go to Palmer system. So for the universal, it's really simple. Really easy, straightforward, but it can be a little confusing or just a little bit harder to get down. So the universal, you start in the upper right of your patient, and there's their wisdom tooth, their back molar. That's going to be tooth number 1. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to keep counting all the way to 16, and then you're going to go down to your mandible, to your lower jaw, and go 17, 18, 19, and count all the way to 32. So each tooth gets a number. It's really easy. It just takes a little bit of time for you to get familiar with and to, just kind of get this down. But yeah, it's super straightforward, and if you're ever confused, you can just count. Something to be aware of, though, is that the wisdom teeth are a part of that. So that is going to be 1, 16, 17, and 32. So make sure that you're aware of that when you start doing this, and don't just always count from the last molar, because some models and some people don't have their wisdom teeth. Like most people don't. So something to be aware of. I had a friend who just started counting in one of the models from the back tooth, the last molar, but they didn't realize that the wisdom tooth wasn't in there, so it messed up which tooth they did their prep on, and so it screwed them all up. So just pay attention to where the wisdom teeth, if they're there or not, and to just the numbering system. Like I said, it can be kind of confusing and a little bit hard to get familiar with this. So I think a way to do that is just kind of break it down and start making kind of sections and start associating certain teeth with other ones, kind of almost like every other tooth. So then, you can either count up or count down from that tooth to help you. So kind of have guiding teeth like that. So your back one's your wisdom teeth. It's good to know it's like 1 is 16, 17, 32. Then you could do your central incisors, which are like 8 and 9, 24 and 25. So get familiar with those, and then start adding other teeth. Like you could add your canine, 6 and 11. Just start picking certain teeth. So when they ask about another tooth, you can kind of have these certain teeth that you can count from until you get all of them memorized. Hopefully that kind of makes sense and is helpful. That's kind of how I learned to do it. Just start with certain teeth and just spread and grow from there. And more just practice, and you'll get it down. Don't worry. So now we're going to go to the international system. So the international system is more of a quadrant based. So again, they're going to start with the upper right of the patient. That's going to be quadrant 1. And then you're going to go quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So kind of similar in that sense. Except for this one, you're going to use the central incisors. That's going to be your ones. So I got a picture. Hopefully this will kind of help. So if you can't tell, these are supposed to be your central and lateral incisors. So this is the upper right of the patient. This is going to be quadrant 1, and this is tooth number 1, so you got 1, 1. And this is quadrant 2, tooth number 1, so 2, 1. Quadrant 2, tooth number 2, same thing with here. This is quadrant 3, quadrant 4. These are both, this is tooth number 1, tooth number 1. Quadrant 3, tooth number 1, tooth number 2. So if that makes sense, first number is the quadrant number, and then you just count which tooth it is. So in some ways it's easier that way once you got the quadrant system down. But nice thing with the universal is like every tooth has one number. This one, there's multiple number 1s, but you got to make sure you just know the quadrant. And something to take note, this isn't tooth number 11, it's 1, 1, so you don't get confused if you're talking with, dentists from 2 different countries. Make sure you kind of distinguish which tooth is what. It's not 11 or it's not 21. It's 1, 1 is 2, 1. So hopefully that makes sense. It's quadrants, and then you start numbering with the central incisors. So the Palmer system up here, this is used somewhat by orthodontists. I don't know how common it is. Some orthodontists don't use it, some still do. But similar, the central incisors are going to be the first teeth, and it's quadrant based again, except for they use this little bracket symbol here, which is upper right. So this is upper right quadrant, tooth number 1, upper left quadrant, tooth number 1, tooth number 2, lower left quadrant, lower right quadrant, tooth number 1, tooth number 2. So hopefully that it makes sense, and it's pretty simple. Again, if you're a dentist, unless you're an orthodontist and you're a dentist in the United States, you're mostly just going to be working with the universal system. So get really familiar with that and practice it out. But hopefully this is helpful. Let me know if you guys like this kind of video, if you want more tips or things like to help prepare you for dental school in your off time. I mentioned for primary teeth, for baby teeth, what you want to do in the universal system is that you use letters instead of numbers. So you start at the same place, upper right of the patient, and that's going to be tooth number A. So it's going to go A through K or J, and drop it to K through T. So same kind of thing, just using letters instead of numbers, and that's for your baby teeth. So.